merch. Okay, today we are going to be talking about merch. I recently dropped a video sharing the whole behind the scenes process of coming out with my own merch, and I received a good amount of questions about just the whole entire process, how you guys can do it on your own, and really, I knew that I wanted to come out with this video, so once I started to get the questions, I was like, yes, perfect, great. I'm so glad you guys want to see this as well. There's really two big options when it comes to creating merch. Obviously, you can go the crazy route where you can find the manufacturer yourself and you can really customize things and do it all on your own. But I would say the two most popular ways, the first one is by finding a merch company, such as like Fanjoy. With a merch company, they help you with finding the blanks and they will send you samples of the blanks. They will help you with the whole design process, and then they will do the fulfillment, the shipping, the customer service. They really do all of the work, and then they take a cut from the sales because obviously they have to cover their costs as well as they have to make money, and then you get a cut from the sales as well. So really it's all run through someone else, but you are the creator behind the merch. Compared to with a print-on-demand company, you are taking on the workload. So yes, you're not doing the printing, you're not doing the shipping, you're not doing any of the fulfillment, but you are, obviously you have to figure out what blanks you want all on your own. You need to come up with a design all on your own. It's going to be held on your website, so you collect the orders, and then if you want to take on customer service, like I am taking on returns and stuff myself, the payment process, I take all that on myself, as well as I'm expensed. So when you are working with a merch company, they will typically, now it's going to depend on your contract, but they will take on the expenses for you, and they do all the upfront costs, then they get their money back when the sales actually go live, and then you get a cut, they get a cut, like I explained. Compared to with doing print on demand, what I'm doing, I am actually expensed for every single order. So I'm going to explain that in this video, but I just want to like backtrack a little bit and start with the basics of like what your actual options are. So if you are a smaller creator, definitely print on demand is a more realistic option for you. It's definitely not impossible to work with a merch company, but I think it's a good way to like dip your toe in the water and see if merch is for you and see how successful it's going to be. When it comes to creating merch, I waited until my audience was pretty large. I wanted to be decently established within my brand before I came out with merch, just because like there were so many other things that I wanted to do first, and I didn't just want to like come out with something just to come out with something. I wanted to come out with something that you guys would know that it really represents my brand. It really represents me, and it makes a lot of sense. And I felt like if I came out with something when I was first getting started with my brand, I don't think I would have been proud of it today compared to with what I came out with. I am proud of, and I know I'm going to be proud of for the next few years. Of course, like quality and different like custom designs and stuff like may change in the future, and I'm gonna be like, oh, this is way better. But like as of right now, I'm really proud of what I've done. Don't let the numbers discourage you. If you guys want to get started with merch right now, the process that I went through, you definitely can do all on your own. Most asked question is what print-on-demand company I am using, and I am using Printful. And the reason for that, I did a good bit of research around just different print-on-demand companies. So there's like Teespring, which is very common. There's Spreadshop, Printful, and just like several different options. If you actually search on YouTube, I ended up in a print-on-demand hole in YouTube doing reviews of different companies and stuff, and I ended up with Printful for a couple of reasons. The first one, embroidery. I really wanted to do embroidery on not only hats, which is pretty common to have embroidery on hats, but I also wanted it on shirts, sweatshirts, and that was harder to find. Spreadshop does not do embroidery. Teespring, I'm pretty sure they only do embroidery on hats, but do not quote me on that. I think that's just like when I was doing my research what I ended up finding, but there were a couple of different things that I didn't necessarily love within Teespring. The other reason why I really liked Printful is the way that they do their fulfillment. So they actually have, where's my phone? Hold on. They have facilities in Charlotte, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, California. We got Canada, Mexico, Latvia, Spain, Australia, Japan, Brazil, and they're coming out with 2 new locations in the UK and Poland. And the cool thing with that is, one, if you order something in the US, it is going to be manufactured all here in the US in those 3 locations that I said, North Carolina, Texas, or California. Based off of where you're living, it's going to be fulfilled in that center closest to you and then shipped from that center. If you live closer to California, you should be getting it from California. If you live in Latvia, you're going to be getting it from Latvia. So it's not like stuff is being made here in the US and then shipped internationally. And it's also not like other stuff is being made in internationally and then shipped here to the US. It's actually what's closest to you, which makes it a little bit nicer for the whole shipping process, because with print on demand, I am not holding inventory. So it's not like I just had 200 of these sweatshirts made in all different sizes and then it just gets shipped out to you guys whenever you place an order. Instead, whenever you place an order, it is made to that order. They are picking out this specific blank, this maroon crew neck in your size. They are doing the embroidery on it and they are shipping it direct to you. And because that fulfillment does take a little bit of time, then when you add in the shipping, obviously it's gonna take a while to get to you. And since we are all so used to good old Amazon Prime 2-day shipping, when things don't arrive in a reasonable amount of time, we get frustrated, and it's normal, it's common. Having it be with like different facilities all across the globe, you get things a little bit faster than if things were just manufactured here in the United States or just manufactured in another country. With Printful, so you create an account, which is totally free, and you can do that if you just want to see what the whole entire process is like. If you want to try to like design some stuff on your own, you can just sign up for Printful totally free. You do need to have another website though to connect to sell your stuff. So since I already had my Shop Cathrin Manning site, which is a Shopify site, I was able to integrate all of my merch through Printful to Shopify so that I could sell my digital products as well as my physical products, my merch. Let's talk about more so actually coming out with merch, designing it, all of that stuff. Since I got started with a merch company at first, and then I decided to go the print on demand route when I had to drop that company, they sent me several different samples. Some of them were not my size, so I ended up already donating them. Other ones were my size or I just like kept. So these are actually 2 samples that I was given just to see the quality and the material of a blank, because with merch, you are not custom designing a crew neck. No, you're just taking like a normal crew neck and then you're customizing it with whatever you want on your merch. So I ended up getting so many freaking different samples because originally I was gonna come out with a t-shirt and a long sleeve and crew necks. But if you do not have that option, like if you are not going with a merch company and you're doing print on demand, go on Printful. They're going to show you all the different options of products that they have. And if you've ever had a Gildan sweatshirt before, it is like the most basic crew neck sweatshirt I feel like that everyone has. Go in your closet, see if you can find the tag. Do you actually like that material? Is it good quality? What do you think? I know like Walmart might carry some of these basic brands. Otherwise, you can find a printing company near you, and usually they have blanks on hand as well. Once you have the blanks figured out, then it comes in like the design process, and you can hire a designer to help you coming up with whatever you want your merch to look like. For me, I did not use a designer for my first drop. I just did it all on my own. Now, most of it is pretty freaking basic, like my hats, the doing it for me, so incredibly basic. Like I did not need someone to design this. Having it placed and figuring out where exactly you want it, the size you want it on your stuff, that's where I ran into some troubles and where I had to order multiple samples, because specifically with the hats, this hat was the original design. It's up a little bit too high compared to this one, as well as the CMs. Can you see how high up this one is? It's a little bit too high up compared to this. So this was my first initial sample that I ordered, and then I ordered this one and I was like, I like this placement much better. And some of that stuff you just need to place an actual order and figure out if you like it. With Printful, every month you can place a sample order, or you can place multiple sample orders. It just depends what level you're at, but you need to have sales to like move up in the levels. It's like very interesting. I'm learning it as I go. But you can place a sample order where you obviously come up with what you want printed on the stuff. And obviously it is an expense for your business. Make sure that your business is paying for it, because it is going into your business, okay? We love business expenses here. You pay for it, they're gonna fulfill it, ship it to you, and you get to see what the merch looks like. And that's what ended up happening with this first hat. And then I ordered the second one in another sample in like the following month to see what I liked. That also happened with, this was the first black hat I ordered. This was up a little bit too high, but also this CM here, I accidentally had black thread instead of white thread. My mistake. The hat is actually supposed to have white thread on the back. So silly things like that can happen. One of the things that also happened to me, because I just like wasn't sure of the placement. It's very hard to tell when it's just on like the mock-up online, when it's all like digital. It ended up being placed far too high, which was my mistake. I just did not know exactly where it was gonna lay on the body until I actually put it on me, and I just did not love how high up that was placed. And I also placed another order with a do it for you without the period. That's where I first started, and then I liked the period at the end, just like do it for you. period. Ain't no excuses, ain't no but, ain't no anything after that. It's like, do it for you. That's the end of the sentence. So I did that. And then if you guys watched that merch video, you would have seen these were actually the original samples of Create a Life You Love. Problem with this is I had it too far over and it went into my armpit. So I had to shift it over a little bit. So when you place your sample orders, make sure that you are actually getting your size, that you can try it on. You can see how it fits, where things are actually going to lay, because there are going to be those problems where you have something too far over, maybe it's too far in the center, whatever it is, you just kind of like need to figure that out. One of the downsides with doing print on demand that I mentioned in the other video is that you can't do as much customization. One of the reasons why I wanted to initially go with a merch company is because with print on demand, so like this is, I mean, this was the first sample, but this is like still very similar to what my merch is. You can't have the tag taken out and your own logo placed there, which if you've ordered anyone else's merch in the past, that's pretty common where they actually have their logo where the tag should be and the tag is cut out so you can't see like what the initial blank is. Now, doing print on demand, I did not have that option, as well as with embroidery specifically at Printful on t-shirts and shirts, and like I obviously did crew necks, you can only have embroidery in one place. With the hats, you can have it in two places. So I could do the front and the back and my logo could be on it, but with my crew necks, I couldn't do anything else. If I did print, I can do print in multiple different areas, but embroidery, I just can't. So that's just like something to take into consideration. But just to share with you guys, this was actually a mock-up from my merch company. Initial design I was thinking about. My CM was gonna be there. This tag was gonna be cut out. This was just like a sample sent to me. And then I was going to have this CM embroidered on the sleeve, which is really cool. And like Printful, since I've been using it, which it hasn't been that long, has already come out with a new feature where now you can actually have more of embroidery here on the chest. Instead, it used to just be center, left, or right. Now it's got like a bigger center, smaller center, left, right, which is cool. So I'm hoping in the future that they're gonna move to like have some of these like cooler custom features. The next thing you need to figure out is the pricing. What are you going to charge for each piece of merch that you come out with? And Printful is going to help you out a little bit because with each product that you decide to sell, they show you the fulfillment cost. So how much is it going to cost you to have someone buy this piece that you have designed? This crew neck and the white one that has the exact same design cost the most. And that's why it is like, not only does it cost the most in terms of fulfillment, it also costs the most for you guys to buy it. And the reason for that is because the expenses are higher for this. Like the cost of this blank alone, it's more of a high quality blank compared to this crew neck. So it's going to cost more money. This one is the second highest in terms of expenses as well as the price of it. And then we've got the hats here. So for me, what I did when I came up with the prices is obviously I took a look at the fulfillment and what my profit would be off of each item if I priced it at a different level. But really what I was doing is I was looking at other creators and their merch and what they were charging for their merch. And I have actually bought merch from a lot of different creators and I knew the quality difference in some of them and what they were charging. So I would take a look at like a crew neck that I had from one creator and a crew neck I had from another creator, took a look at their prices and was like, what exactly am I paying for here? And like, what makes the most sense to me? Like, what was I happy purchasing? Because there have been pieces of merch where I'm like, oh my gosh, the quality of this is crap and I paid way too much money for this and I'm just like not happy with it. I kept it, of course. I want to support other creators, but like I just wasn't happy and I didn't want that to happen to you guys. If I would have like charged this at $60 or something, which I've seen other creators do that, I just knew you guys were gonna be like, wait, but there's like no custom logo, like what? Like those little details aren't here. So I took a look at the merch that I had and I went to those creators' websites and I was like, okay, what are they charging for their merch? Most common for crew necks and hoodies is from 40 to 45. Really, it's like 45 if you have more custom like logos and stuff, all the way up to $65 is what I found. And I was like, I'm not charging $65. Ain't no way. No, not happening. This crew neck, I decided on 35 because like I said, the cost of this is a little bit less than this crew neck. And then this one I decided on 40 because of the cost of it and my profit, how much I was actually going to be making off of each of them. The hats, since these are pretty basic, like in terms of, I would say they're standard with something on the front and the logo, like the customization is pretty standard. From what I was seeing from other creators, a lot of people were charging $25 for hats. And I was like, okay, game on. $25 for this hat makes sense. From there, I feel like I'm just like throwing merch all around me at this point. Okay, the actual logistics, how the heck does it work? So I ended up integrating my Printful with my Shopify website, obviously, and I had my merch not visible. It was private at first. And late at night, one night, I made 2 pieces of merch available. I made them go live. I ended up logging into a different browser, completed a purchase because I wanted to see what was going to happen in terms of the processing, the fulfillment, like on the back end, how the heck did that look, as well as a customer, what does that actually look like? Basically what happens is Shopify is the vehicle for which I collect all the transactions and process the payment for each piece of merch. So Shopify is like kind of like the third party, but it immediately sends the order to Printful. So when I placed an order specifically on merch day, yes, I did order my own merch on merch day. I just want to use this as an example for you guys. So I ended up buying 2 things. I bought the Create a Life You Love white crew neck, and I bought the maroon Do It For You in the extra large, which is actually what I'm wearing right now. I just wanted it like a bigger size. Total for me, because I had to pay not only the cost of the items, I had to pay shipping, which was $6.99, taxes, because I live in Alabama and collecting sales tax, all of that stuff, that was $7.50. Total, I paid $89.49, which if one of you was to pay that amount, that is the money that I would see minus PayPal fees or Shopify fees. That's something else that I'm going to get into in another video when I share how much money I made with merch. This is the money that then would get paid out to me in the future. So how the heck does like shipping and all of that stuff work? When I collect that transaction, it immediately goes to Printful, and Printful then expenses me. It expenses my credit card for every single order that is placed. So for this specific order of those 2 items, I ended up being expensed $46.15 for the fulfillment of the 2 items. I was then charged a shipping rate of $8.99. So really, I'm losing $2 there in terms of like the shipping, because me as a customer, I paid $6.99 compared to me as the person running the merch and like doing everything else, I paid $8.99. Is that making sense there? So it's like technically I lost $2 with taxes for $62. So total, I was charged $59.76 for the fulfillment alone just on that merch. So with doing print on demand, for every single transaction, every time one of you buys a piece of merch, I am actually expensed. A transaction then hits my credit card and I am charged for the merch fulfillment, the shipping, the taxes, everything else that goes into it, and I am then paid out through Shopify. Now with Shopify, you can have it set up in a couple of different ways. So I do collect payment from PayPal as well, which is paid out immediately, but then you gotta like transfer it to your bank account, and if you don't do like their quick transaction thing, it like takes 1 to 3 days and then you don't have any charges, whatever. With Shopify, the way that I have it set up is that I actually receive payouts only once a month. So at the beginning of a month, I receive the payout for all of the transactions and things the following month. In reality, the way it's kind of working for me, which is just the way that I set it up, and you can do it however you want to do it, is I am expensed first. All the expenses hit me and then the money comes to me, which then obviously covers those expenses. But with the whole returns process, okay, this is where things get a little bit more complicated, and I'm gonna try to make this make sense here. So Printful only accepts returns for damaged or misprinted goods. That's it. And even then, the whole return process is like a little bit weird. You guys would have to reach out to me and tell me what is going on, what happened, send me photos. I would then need to process it through Printful, do like a whole inquiry, everything else. They would say accept, decline. You would then send it to the address that appears on your packing slip. Do not actually do this with my merch, but like this is just the process that works there. You would send it to the address on the packing slip, and then they would say, yes, this is good, we accept the return. I would then be reimbursed for the expense of it that I was initially charged, like we talked about, and then you guys would get refunded from me for the shipping and the initial transaction, the shipping of the initial transaction and the transaction. I would not cover, and Printful would not cover the cost of shipping to return the actual object. You need to do that yourself. That is an expense to you. That being said, it is a whole entire process, and they only accept damaged or misprinted goods. And what happens if you guys bought a freaking like $40 sweatshirt and it just like doesn't fit you right? Or let's say you accidentally ordered the wrong size, or it's just like not the quality that you were expecting. That's a-okay. Like I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, I just like wasted my money on this piece of crap. I don't want you to feel that way. And I already had someone reach out to me saying that they ordered like this sweatshirt but in gray, and the neck was too tight and it just wasn't comfortable on them, and they asked if they could return it. And I was like, that's totally fine. With my return process, okay, I have you guys send everything to my PO box because I am already expensed for the cost of goods sold. I already received that expense. I have already been charged for it. So I would rather collect the products myself, especially because Printful only honors things for damaged and misprinted. If you guys were to send something else there, what they would do is they would just donate it. I would not get my money back, and I would probably just like refund you guys and like figure out how the heck that would work, but it just makes so much more sense if I actually just collect the products myself, and then I can include them in giveaways, because the way that they need to be returned to me is in original condition with the stickers and everything still attached. So if they're in original condition, then I can include them in giveaways. I can sell them at like meet and greets and stuff in the future, or I can do whatever the heck I want with them. But since I already paid for that product, I would rather it be sent to me, and then I can reuse it for something in my business in the future. It just like makes the most sense. Obviously, when you guys send me something, then I'm going to reimburse you for the initial transaction and the initial transaction shipping. The only thing I do not reimburse you for is actually the cost of shipping to send the product back to me. You can actually do it that way with Printful. They totally respect and honor that. It's just they will not refund you for the initial expense that you paid for the cost of the good. They do not do that unless it is misprinted or damaged, like I said. But on the website, you can actually add a custom address for the returns, and then that is what will appear on the packing slip. Now, the reason why mine isn't set up that way is because they only honor real physical addresses. They do not honor PO boxes, and I do not have another address for my business other than my home. I just have then my PO box, which is what I use for a lot of stuff. I do not want to have my home sent on all of the packing slips that you guys get. So I have my custom refund return policy available on my website that you guys can check out before you complete a purchase. Make sure that you always check that out with like every purchase that you are completing online, just like in general, good thing to know. And then yeah, I process all my returns myself, which is like a little bit more work to me, but I would rather do that to make sure that you guys get products that like you actually want and enjoy. Like I don't want you guys to be stuck with something that doesn't fit you right. That just doesn't make any sense to me. With returns though, obviously it is up to you, like what you want the policy to be. If you just want to abide by Printful's policy, that's totally fine. The benefit actually to using Printful's policy is that since they have distribution centers all across the globe, people would send it to the distribution center closest to them or where it was actually fulfilled. So if you live in Japan or something, you're gonna send it back to the Japan distribution center, compared to with my return process, you have to send it the whole way to the United States. And it's going to cost you more money, but it's just kind of like the way that it is, and it is all explained on my website, so it's like it's something that you're getting into when you are completing a purchase. The one thing I do not accept returns on are the hats because of hygiene. Say you put this on your head, you have lice or something, that's obviously a real problem. So I cannot accept any returns on hats, sweatshirts and stuff I can accept returns on, but it's just like up to you guys. Like whatever you want to do with your return policy, you can figure that out on your own. Just make sure that if you are doing something on your own, it's fully explained on your website on a returns page. Make sure that it is very easy for your customers to see and find, as well as I do have mine on my frequently asked questions page. But I think that is it when it comes to merch. I have been talking for so incredibly long. My throat hurts a little bit because I haven't drank enough water. So I'm gonna go. If you guys have any further questions about merch, let me know. I do a weekly Q&A on my Instagram stories every Wednesday. So that's a really good spot to ask me any of these questions. Otherwise, let me know in the comment section down below. If there's any other content you guys want around merch, just let me know. If this is something you're planning on coming out with in the future, I hope that this was helpful for you, and I will be sharing how much money I made launching merch so you guys can just like get a full picture. Just like full transparency is what I'm about over here. So I want you guys to know how the heck this whole process worked for me and how much money I made from it. I will see you guys back here on Tuesday with another one. Also, ooh man, Vlogmas is happening on the vlog channel, so make sure you check that out. And now I'm actually gonna go. Goodbye guys.